Now that Magearna is available through a QR code distribution, let's go and see how it works with a moveset guide. So Magearna is a Steel Fairy typing. That's already a really good start. It works as a really strong typing for Mawile and Klefki, and as we go and look at it a little closer, yeah, Steel Fairy is just really broken. We have ground and fire weaknesses. That's it. Now, while those are fairly common weaknesses, it's not the worst to worry about because we trade that for 2 immunities and then a ton of resistances. Only 5 things will hit this thing neutrally, and then 2 more will be super effective. The rest, Poison Dragon, that's immune. Normal, Flying, Rock, Bug, Grass, Psychic, Ice, Dark, and Fairy, all of those will be resisted. So excellent on that defensive typing. Offensively, it's going to be not as excellent, I will say that. We will be resisted by Fire Pokemon and Steel Pokemon for both of our stabs. That could be a bit of a problem right there. Offensively, it still cleans up really nice. Like, Fairy hits well, Steel hits well, and then, like, it even works for countering other Fairy-type Pokemon. So that's just absolutely broken right there. And then Magearna stats. Okay, Mythical Pokemon, Restricted Event Pokemon. Makes a lot of sense, and my goodness, are these some good stats. Slow, tanky, but does a hell of a lot of damage. So we look at the 80 on the hit points with the 115 in defense and special defense. Yeah, this Pokemon is really hard to beat down, and then it has a 130 on the special attack. Okay, makes the 65 speed make some sense right there. I don't know about that 95 attack, but we're doing a lot of damage. We're not taking a lot of damage. So now let's go and look at this Pokemon's moveset in Serebii. I don't see the Moonblast, so it means we are going to be stuck with a Dazzling Gleam, slightly less damage for our primary stab. We do have the Flash Cannon, so we just get good lower special attacking damage. So it's not like we get 90s like through an Ice Beam or a Moonblast or some kind of other move, you know, so we are going to be a little low damage on our stab, but that's not the worst thing that could happen, especially because we have the 130 on the special attack, but we might end up feeling that. I see the Calm Mind right there, so that's pretty good for the setup. We even have Iron Defense, so we can get really tanky if we want to. Now, Fleur Cannon. This is going to be an exclusive move for Magearna. Unleashes a strong beam, but lowers the special attack stat by 2. So think Overheat, think Leaf Storm, think all of those moves like that you do a huge amount of damage, 130 base power, most likely stab, and then you end up cutting your special attack from that. 90 accuracy as well, so it's pretty standard. It's like the Psycho Boost, I believe it's what it's called, for the Deoxys, and then we even get the Ice Beam. So I'm liking the coverage. We have Aura Sphere. Yeah, the coverage really comes through in the end, and that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So let's go and hop into Pokemon Showdown and see how to make the most of Magearna. We also get the Shift Gear. Now, this is a really good thing. So I was like, wait, there's no Autotomize, no Rock Polish? Oh, never mind. Get Shift Gear. So that's going to raise our speed by 2 and our attack by 1. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because technically 95 attack on that +1 sounds good, but really you're only going to be using Shift Gear for that +2 on the speed. You just want to double your speed since it is really low. Then we have the Soul Heart ability. Pokemon's special attack is raised by 1 stage when another Pokemon faints. By the way, it includes allies. So think about that. And that's kind of like, okay, crazy in doubles, crazy in singles, and my thought is just go Fairium Z. Like, we're such a tanky tank Pokemon of tank that even without any investment, it's still a 2-3 KO Pokemon. We're going to survive a lot of things, and even some weaker super effective hits. So we're going to be looking really strong right there, and then that means we Shift Gear, we now start outspeeding everything, and then we just Fairium Z into the Fleur Cannon. So Fleur Cannon normally would lower special attack by 2, but when you Z move it, it doesn't. And it gets a hell of a lot more power. So then it's going to get a 195 base damage. That's kind of ridiculous, especially with the stab. So the idea is you use Fairium Z to go and blow something up after you outspeed them from the Shift Gear and tank up that first hit. And now you're at +1 because you KO'd something, and that's going to give your Soul Heart a boost. Well, then that means your Fleur Cannon is going to have a 195 base power again, so you can blow up something else. And then you go to another +1, then you -2, and now you're still at neutral, and you could use Fleur Cannon again and blow something up. Like, that's really how this would work out. That you could just get like 3 shots on the Fleur Cannon and just keep going, or you can keep trying to snowball. That if your opponent responds with something that doesn't tank you up, something that might also fall into a little bit of your coverage, you can keep going from there. So at +1, now Flash Cannon, now Dazzling Gleam. These moves are threatening a KO, and then you could go to +2, use Fleur Cannon, and then that's going to give you another +1. Now you're still at +1 again in Fleur Cannon. Like, the snowball on Magearna after you Shift Gear can get absolutely silly. But I will say that this is going to be like your decision, that not every Magearna set will kind of run the Fairium Z or run like this, but if you run the Fairium Z with the Floor Cannon, you might want to get rid of the Dazzling Gleam, because as you can see, Floor Cannon is just a really good out. That's where you could consider a move option. I don't really know what to put. Energy Ball is going to be good, like pretty much you're just going for the coverage. Aura Sphere is going to be pretty nice, because Steel-type Pokemon resist you pretty heavily, gives you something to do against Fire-type Pokemon, and like I said, with the Ice Beam, well, now we're just getting Trio resisted, and we have nothing against Fire types, so we might as well go for the Aura Sphere, and a +1 Aura Sphere on a weakened Fire-type Pokemon could be enough damage to seal the deal as well. I just wanted to kind of show you guys the speed right here, that we can go with a Modest Nature, get the most out of it. If we go with Timid, that's going to cut a little bit of our damage, but I don't think it's like the worst thing that could happen. And then we have over 500 speed at level 100, and then if we drop it down to level 50, that's when speed tiers start getting really interesting. We can still see that we're outspeeding tons of different Pokemon, that if the opponent is going for some kind of speed boosting setup, we're still going to outspeed it. If they're going for a Scarf, we're still going to outspeed it. So the Timid will give you a little bit safety against like some of the craziest, fastest sweeping Pokemon out there, and in the end, we'll still be pretty safe. And now I want to go and look into doubles a bit. Now we have Memento Whimsicott. And here's where things start getting pretty awkward, because Memento Whimsicott is currently banned right now because there's an issue with like Parting Shot and Memento and something, and there's a glitch. I don't fully understand it. People are just reporting that it is banned on Wi-Fi and in tournaments right now, so maybe if Game Freak patches that soon, it will be usable. But the second problem, which is why this is so weird, is this is not available right now. That in pre-Pokebank times, which is why I'm recording this video, Whimsicott cannot have Memento legally, that the Pokemon just doesn't exist for it for the egg moves. So once Pokebank comes out, this is going to be a really interesting strategy to see. The idea is you Prankster Memento, you harshly drop a foe's attack and special attack stat, you sacrifice yourself, and then Magearna gets a free +1, and then that means the other Pokemon is going to be very challenging against the Magearna because it's going to have a reduced attack and special attack stat. Also, there is something like the Tailwind, so you can use the Tailwind, protect on Magearna, and then also have Whimsicott with like a Focus Sash or something. After that, Prankster Mementos. So now you have Magearna with a Tailwind boost, a +1, going for damage. The opponent can't do anything back because of that Memento. So what you do is you just KO the thing that isn't Mementoed, and then yeah, the opponent has to force a switch, you get even more stats, you KO something, that's a +2, you use Floor Cannon, that's still at +1, and now your damage is absolutely off the charts, and you even do like Helping Hand and Dazzling Gleam and all kinds of fun stuff right there. Also, we have the Final Gambit. So I was looking at just random Pokemon that get Final Gambit. We have a list right here, so we have like Mankey, Primeape, Starly, Staraptor, all those Pokemon, Alolan Diglett, into the Dugtrio, and yeah, breeding will give you Final Gambit on a good amount of Pokemon, and the overall idea is that Excelgor is going to be really good at it, but again, once the bank becomes available, that's going to change some things around, and we can see some other Pokemon. So the idea is with Final Gambit, you get a free +2, so you get a really fast Pokemon. Like, Dugtrio, unfortunately, isn't the best Final Gambit because it has a low hit point pool, so even with like max hit point investment, it might not find a KO. So I just wanted to kind of also bring that to effect. But we have a Pokemon like Staraptor, the Lucario, Pokemon that just have higher health pools, your Final Gambit is going to be really funny. Actually, I think the Basculin has a decent amount of health if I actually pull up the... Wow, I can't even type today. Okay. There we go. Now let's go look up the Basculin. 70 on the hit points. It's going to be much better than the 35. So that's going to be our KO range on the Final Gambit. Ideally, under perfect Final Gambit scenarios, you're going to be able to Final Gambit. That feints your Pokemon regardless, and it could feint the opponent's Pokemon, which means now Magearna is starting off at +2, which can be pretty ridiculous. Also, with its slow speed, Trick Room could be a very viable option for. So you can either Tailwind boost it, or you can Trick Room boost it, and then Magearna is going to do just fine. Looks like the Modest Nature could be best, unless you're going for like very specific timid stuff right here, or if you're running Choice Scarf. So I'm kind of against the Choice Scarf because we're losing the special attack damage. We're not really getting too far. The Floor Cannon is going to keep dropping us, so it's going to be like very niche, low range cleanup situations. We can still come in and then do some really good work on the Choice Scarf, especially because it does open up that other coverage slot. So maybe you can like Floor Cannon, Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere, Ice Beam, or whatever other coverage move you're looking for, and then you can just kind of come in and respawn. Problem is, though, with this speed at level 50, you're only going to be able to outspeed Greninja. Like, 122 speed is going to be your limit for catching opponents right there, so that's something to consider. I just like the Fairy. Like, the Fairium Z into the shift gear setup, it's so ridiculous. It's so crazy. And then the damage, and then the more damage into more damage. Like, you're just going to get KOs. And if the opponent goes into a tank or something, you can just switch out the Magearna and save it for later, or you can just keep pressuring it with the damage. Like, Toxapex seems like kind of one of the hardest things to deal with, and I know it is a very common Pokemon, but then Toxapex can't hit you with poison, so it's just like a really weak liquidation because you're still tanking and it doesn't invest. The matchups start getting really funny in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Even Energy Ball wouldn't have too much against Toxapex as well. So now I'm just looking into some other things, like we have Tank Filth setup. So I saw the Calm Mind, I saw the Iron Defense, and that's where the fun starts to really come in. So depending on what you're running, you can run like just Calm Mind and put in something else instead of the Iron Defense, or you can do whatever. My thought is, use Calm Mind twice, you Floor Cannon, and then you just keep going until the opponent has no more Pokemon left. You use leftovers for tankiness, and I mean, I just don't want to give this up. That we have a 80 in the hit points, a 115 on the defense, so we can max out the hit points, max out the defense. If we go for something like a bold nature, so we get a defensive nature like that, it's going to be very tanky, and then the Calm Mind's going to be good. If we are running Iron Defense, I recommend a special boosting nature, so in that case, we would go for the Calm nature. If we have Calm, then that means this is going to work out really well, because Calm Mind's going to boost our special defense and our special attack, but since we're expecting a lot more physical hits with something like the Earthquake, or just more physical hits in general, we can tank those up, we can Iron Defense when we need to. Iron Defense is going to make a super effective hit feel like a neutral hit, then after a couple of Calm Minds, yeah, it just becomes very hard to kill us, so we want to do that, and then we want to Pain Split, you know, when we're in yellow health, we take the hit, Pain Split, get a lot of health back, leftovers adds onto that, and then we just one-shot everything with the Floor Cannon. So yeah, +2 Floor Cannon will nuke even without any special attack investment. +1 Floor Cannon will still nuke, and then we just kind of gain, lose, Calm Mind, and then we win. So tanking Magearna, mostly just to kind of frustrate the opponent, break through their stall a little, that if they kind of whittle you down, you Pain Split into a Floor Cannon, well, that's going to be hard for a lot of Pokemon to deal with, especially those slower tanks that are under that 65 speed on invested. So now let's go and check out some damage calculations. I'm just looking at some basic stuff like Dazzling Gleam without Life Orb, because I was thinking about Life Orb set, but I think the Fairium Z is just better. Like, even on the 130 special attack, Modest Nature, not finding a lot of damage. Like, Life Orb doesn't make it surprising or stunning or anything, so on the low end, you know, 75 hit points, 70 special defense, we're 2-hit KOing things, and then we go into Floor Cannon, and then we're at +1. So if you shift gear into Life Orb Modest, and then you just try to run off the Dazzling Gleams, that is a potential thing to do if you don't want to use up your Z slot on the Magearna. Now remember, it is a mythical Pokemon, so when you're using it, there are going to be other legendaries around. So you do have to take that into consideration as to what you're dealing with. Just looking at some damage, Timid, Floor Cannon. So even with a Timid nature, a +0 Floor Cannon will find KOs in that 75 range. If we're going into the Modest, if we're already going to be Z move boosting it into like a 195, yeah, now everything dies. Now everything dies. Even on the Timid, pretty much everything is going to die. So that's looking good right there. Some other damage calculations. I'm just trying to see how much damage we can take and deal back. So Modest Life Orb with the Dazzling Gleam, not going to be an insane amount, but then if we just go and keep messing around with this, so 130 on that Floor Cannon is going to be a huge amount of damage, even if we cut out the Life Orb, and then even if we go and cut down all of the other damage. So yeah, Modest no Life Orb is going to work, and Timid gets good chance to KO, 75%, but I'm just showing like Tapu Koko on Electric Terrain with a Life Orb boosted Thunderbolt, not enough to kill us. So the damage is, like, our tankiness without any investment is still going to be pretty massive. That's when we turn around with that Floor Cannon and we only lose -1 on that special attack in the end. Or if we Z-move boost it into something else and then now we still have enough KO potential to snowball it. That's just kind of showing. Also, when we double, we're going to have enough speed to outspeed the Tapu Koko. So we survive, we shift gear, and then we just go and kill the Tapu Koko. Also, I'd imagine that we don't even have to worry about using our... Well, actually, no, Flash Cannon, because... Actually, on the Flash Cannon, Tapu gets that resist from the electric, and then it just becomes neutral. So, yeah, still looking like, man, Magearna does really, really ferocious things. The Kartana, we're just so tanky. That's Smart Strike, though. 3-hit KO Pokemon on the Kartana without any investment. That one to see how tanky we were with our just full defensive investment, like Bold Nature, going to give us a lot of defenses into something like the Tapu Fini, still 3-hit KO with Hydro Pumps, which do have a chance to miss, so technically like a 4-hit KO under reasonable odds. If we bring in the Kartana again, just those neutral hits have nothing on us with that full defensive investment on that Bold. Even if we go into the Calm Nature, we're still, what is that, like 14, yeah, very low chance to 3-hit KO. Also with leftovers, we're going to be able to sustain back up, so that's a 4-hit KO. That means we get all the setup that we ever dream of, and maybe, I don't know, I was about to say maybe a physical set would be possible. I don't think we get anything like the Swords Dance, though. Yeah, if we got Swords Dance, maybe a physical set would be possible, because only getting +1 on each of our gears would not really work out. So yeah, we just have a lot of tankiness. And what does the Garchomp do to us? Garchomp's gonna suck. Let's go to singles. Garchomp still doesn't 1-hit KO us with this, so that's going to be pretty solid. If we have an Iron Defense, Garchomp's damage goes down. And the ideas behind this is that in those higher ranges, like if they're doing 60% to us initially, that's when we, you know, we Calm Mind, we Iron Defense, then we Pain Split, and then we just finish them off. And now we're still looking to Pain Split the next Pokemon coming in. That's the great thing about Pain Split. If you can get some defensive boost and then get that first snowball going, you're going to be in low range health, but then a fresh Pokemon comes in, you heal up, you take the hit, you survive, and then you one-shot them, and that's going to be the Magearna play right there. So the Tanky set has a bit more patience to it. It's not going to be all-out sweep, but it still has the potential to just kill everything in its way. So that's going to be pretty solid right there. And there we go, guys. This is how you use Magearna, so maybe that should help out when you're soft resetting for your Magearna. And it came with a bottle cap, so I guess IVs aren't the hardest thing to work with on that. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.